how AI should be used. The frustration part is where you see people, just creating content for the sake of it and putting it out.
I mean, AI, it's so unpredictable as to where it's going. And you start to get to that point of wondering what's real, what's not. Is the person that you're listening to AI, or is it a real person?
Leaders should be leveraging AI to make better decision making, but they also have to realize that they need to understand that the decision they make is ultimately theirs and they have to own it.
Some sectors will be affected more, some less, but all are being influenced one way or another. Hi, and welcome to the Living Richly podcast. We're so glad that you've joined us again this week for what is going to be a really powerful conversation on what makes you valuable in the age of AI. More and more, we're using it both personally, we're using it in business. It's really kind of taking things over. And while it brings all kinds of benefits, it does raise some really interesting questions about what makes us stand apart now that the AI can do so much for us. So we're really glad to have in studio with us today returning guests. We have Chris Doré with Scarlet Nova, who's become a dear friend, member of the Foundry. And this is now your third podcast, I believe, with us. And you and I have also done some webinars on the business side. So I feel like we've done this many times before. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Super excited about the topic. I always mention whenever I get a chance to talk about AI, because my wife won't let me talk to her about it. It's always great for me to be here because then my wife feels very happy. This is like,
get it out of your system.
That's right. I started my company based on that. It was literally started because she was like, I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to talk.
Go to group therapy. We can talk later. It's kind of how she treats.
That's exactly it. Exactly.
And we have joining us for the first time on the podcast, but not our first gig together. Julian is here, Julian White with Zentia AI, and also a very dear friend, member of the Foundry, not just a member, started a group in Brockville, Foundry group in Brockville earlier this year. And we've done some webinars together as well on the business side of things, but great to welcome you. Great to have you here today.
Thanks, Eric. It's really great to be here. I'm super excited to chat about one of my favorite subjects and really get into it.
Yeah. Awesome. And of course, my partner in crime needs no introduction.
But I want one.
But he wants one. So Rob, who's also a dear friend of mine. Dude, I just don't have time. Okay.
What I'm trying to figure out, though, for those of you that you watching on YouTube, can you tell that Eric is actually not here? It's actually AI Eric.
This is AI Eric.
Yeah.
This is a better version.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
So it begins.
And this is Chris's last step. Exactly on the episode.
He was talking about perhaps being on the show.
4. I was hoping for 4.
Yeah, because then you get the robe. But I think we'll have you back. We'll have you back.
But the reality, we're joking around about that, but that is where, AI, it's so unpredictable as to where it's going. And you start to get to that point of wondering what's real, what's not. Is the person that you're listening to AI, or is it a real person?
I'm here.
He's really
here for sure. Yeah, and so for the sake of really being clear, there's so many ways we could go when it comes to a conversation about AI and how it's so prevalent now and everything that we do. Our focus today is more about where is it really benefiting us, and where is it perhaps hurting us? Where is it perhaps some things for us to be mindful of that where it can't replace us in many ways, right? And who better to have the conversation with than these two guys? So let me start with an opening question, and maybe I'll throw it your way, Julian, first. If two people have access to the same exact AI tools, what's going to separate who wins and who doesn't?
I think it's actually the person that uses it the most.
Right.
So the person that uses the most,
I
think that will help with the context. So I think providing context. So I encounter people, there's some people that just have the basics and they just basically have they don't even personalize it. Right. So the people that actually get really comfortable with the tool, that start feeding it more information, telling it to remember certain things about it, personalizing it, they're going to get the better result. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
So to me, it's one of those things that the more you use it, the better the tool gets, right? and that will separate people. So the early users like yourself or other people that are like experts, like at this point in time on a certain tool, they definitely have a big advantage over somebody else.
Yeah, 100%. And we actually ran a cool experiment. One of our pillars for this year in our business is leaning into AI even more intentionally. We've leaned into it from the get-go. But I created a simple prompt, and I went into ChatGPT, specifically that platform, and asked it, since I opened my account with you, help me understand how I use you from a personal and professional basis. And it certainly, the highlight was you're not the average user. You're using it in pretty advanced fashion. And said the same thing for you. But talk about personalizing outside of work functions, like work use. Do either of you use it for personal usage? And if so, because we're talking about our audience is about living richly, so that includes business and leadership, but it's a lot more than that. If you use it personally, how does that show up for you?
Well, so I use it personally a lot, almost as much as business, I would say. And the one area that I really use it is coaching. So I have coaches in different areas of my life, right? So personal development, personal growth. Like I have different projects set up for this, and I will feed information into those projects, like relevant information. And some of these have been going on for quite a while now. So the information in there's a lot of information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value that comes out of it as well. And like, I feel like the AI really does kind of understand me as a person now, which is really powerful, because some of that bleeds over into other areas as well. And then business, it's not going to suggest something that it knows I'm not going to be comfortable doing.
Right.
Anything like that.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, there's a report from ChatGPT that came out that says actually most people actually use it for personal use rather than business use.
Really?
So, yeah,
I'm actually surprised to hear that.
And I was surprised too. Yeah. I'm more 30% personal, 70% business. On the personal side, hopefully my wife is not going to listen to this podcast.
You're talking about AI. She won't be watching.
Yeah, that's true. There's been times where I receive text messages from my wife, and I'm like, and they're like the ones that are like, and then I'm like, I'm thinking, okay, how do I respond to this? Because we're either having some type of miscommunication or some type of conflict, and I use a large language model to take a break. First off, have that gap, and then have it figure out my response. And it always is much more emotionally intelligent than I would in that time. And so I've actually, and of course my wife is onto it now. So she's obviously like, whenever it's like, sounds too good to be true, she's like, that's not you, but you're using the tool. I'm like, yeah. And it's like, but it's kind of funny because it really actually helps, because it's like, it's that little gap, gives me better advice than I would if I was just reactive.
Yeah.
And so I've used it in that way a couple times, and it's, and it like, and then some people would be like, don't use it that way, but I use it that way, and it works.
I think it's again, recognizing who our audience is. I think it can be a tremendous way to, when you recognize that people talk about there's triggers or all kinds of things that we're working through in our personal lives, to use AI, whatever that tool is, to make sure that your language is on point and you're not fueling whatever your trigger is and going down that rabbit hole. To be able to pull you back and go, whoa, soften up that language is I think tremendous. What do you say though? And we're going to get into talking about different things, but right out of the gate, I'm listening to the two of you describing, the more you use it, the more information you give it, the more details you tell it. I'm using it. I'm sharing all this stuff about me to the point that it gets me, right? Like you guys, that scares the shit out of some people. The idea that I'm giving all of this information to whom?
Yeah, you already did it though. Like, if you think about it, right? Like, if you're on any social media platform, you've already done it. Like, you've already made the trade off. Like most people have already made that trade off, that you're going to give your data for usage of something. Right now, that's on the free versions, right? Like, so you've already made that trade. I think on the, if you're using an enterprise or paid, they say that they don't use it to train their models, and then you kind of just have to trust that they're actually saying what they've said.
Trusting big corp is so hard to do. And I agree with you that if you're on social and you put lots of your stuff out on social, you've already given up sort of that right to privacy in that respect. But when we're talking about because I use it the same. I use it as I've uploaded my journals, right? I use it to like almost like a therapist in some cases.
But your journals are probably already online, same as mine. Mine are in Dropbox.
Oh,
so they're in the cloud anyway.
They're in the cloud, but they're not technically accessible to the outside use. Yeah, but I see.
That's a good point.
Good point. Yeah, good point. You're right, because I use the cloud.
I use an Apple Note. I use an Apple Note for my journal. And you're right. It's in the cloud.
It's out there. It's
out there. It's the information.
It's one breach away from public knowledge, right?
But in terms of having difficult conversations,
I'm going to turn off these iPads.
Yeah, right. Like I turn everything off. Turn off your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So we can be safe. No, but there's two things here that I want to throw a couple things on the table here. One is, you mentioned like when your wife sees a message and she goes, "It almost seems too good to be true." There is what I am seeing, at least from on the social media side of things, is there is now a lot of pushback against AI generated content. AI generated images when it trying to be passed as real ones. It's if I create a crazy image on AI with AI and it's designed to be used that way, people get it. But there is this pushback, right? Oh, that's got an M dash. It must be AI generated.
Definitely.
So, and yet there is this on the flip side. You now have a thinking partner, a brainstorming team you literally can turn to at any time. They don't require a salary. They don't need to sleep. They don't need to eat. But I need to have this difficult conversation. I'm not sure how to have it. Here's the context. What are some of my options? And now you can literally get some pretty damn good advice about how you might approach something as tricky as difficult conversation at work or difficult conversation at home. But talk to me about your view on this pushback there's an acceptance of it, a broad acceptance of it, and yet there's also, I see some resistance that's beginning to grow because so much is being produced now in a very short period of time. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you touched on the power of AI, right? You have this thinking partner you can chat to about anything, right? And I mean, even look at like medical, for example, right? I think some people will chat with AI about stuff that they wouldn't even chat with a doctor about.
Right.
And that is, it's
no shame.
It's
relatively safe.
Yeah. But it's like, I'm too embarrassed to talk to a human about this, but I will talk to an AI.
Yeah.
Right? That's really powerful. I mean, anything that's going to help your personal relationships, is a really positive thing, right? Anything that's going to help you be a positive influence in your life. I think that's awesome. And that's how AI should be used. The frustration part is where you see people, just creating content for the sake of it and putting it out. It's obvious. I try not to use AI for my content that I put out. Most of it is handwritten. I sometimes tweak it a little bit with AI if I'm kind of struggling, but I'm not putting out AI generated content because I just don't see the point in it. I would rather post less and put something genuine out.
Right. Because I think there is a desire for, we saw it with clients, right? There's I think post-COVID, let's talk COVID for a second. We were all isolated for so long. The whole world was pushed online, right? Some industries and businesses went from being like archaic dinosaurs to having to update their processes to operate in an online environment almost overnight. So that was a good thing. It accelerated the pace of technology and adoption of technology. But once the lockdown stopped, all of a sudden now it's like there was I don't want to do this online anymore. We saw it with our clients where we tried to create online community for them, and then we did it in person, and the difference night and day of being in person, right? Like there's this. So I think that authentic human touch is what people are longing for more and more, and I think that's one area AI just can't replace. No. How do you feel about that?
100% believe exactly what you said. So I'm also the lead of the AI collective in Ottawa, right? And what I love about the AI
you're like the AI Pope. Cardinal.
I'd be like, well, no, but thank you. Like, I don't know how to take that because
it's already trending on TikTok.
About AI Pope as my title.
Why don't you ask chat what does chat think? For a response? Get a response.
It's the first time it ever swore at me. No. Like, no, but when I think about, sorry, maybe go back to the question being, you're saying, okay, repeat the question, because now you got me all thinking about AI Pope.
Yeah. So the question being like, with the desire for genuine human interaction.
So AI Collective. So we actually have a group. It's all the people that are very much interested in AI. You'd think like that they would be like okay with online and everything, but the reality is the buzz in the room when you get like 100 people that have something that in common and that they're very interested in, it's an energy that is irreplaceable. Right. Like I see, and on the other side of my other life, I'm also a college professor. So I see, we have knowledge at our fingertips, right? Because we had Google, now we have, a large language model. So we have the knowledge at our fingertips. So the challenge that's going to be happening in the future is how do we stay human? And then when I say that's with skills, right? Like that's presentation skills, podcasts. Like even though we could probably create avatars of all of ourselves and have conversations, there are just things that humans do that I think is just maybe not at this time, so able to be duplicated by AI, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because we're humans, we go off instinct. So often you can kind of tell when something's a little bit off, right? So I really think it's going to be interesting because I think that is where we are now. But I think in the future, it's going to be even hard. Like it's just going to get harder and harder to tell real from fake.
And I think, and I would argue, I hear people say all the time online, and I agree with you completely with both. There is that desire to be back and for people to have that human touch and to be connected. Mm-hmm. I call bullshit on people who I can always tell when it's AI. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
No, you can. Bullshit.
It's getting harder
bullshit.
and harder.
And I think I'm pretty good judge of it, and I can't tell all the time. I can get fooled. We all do. Right?
I would love to, because I have on my LinkedIn, so I'm only on LinkedIn, it's only social media. There's probably about 25% of my posts that are completely AI,
right?
Like without me even touching it. Because it's gotten to know my tone and everything like that. So it's really hard. So I'd be curious, like it's one of those things like the Turing test, right? Exactly. Where it's like, can you actually tell the difference between a human and not? And I think it's just going to get more and more blurred, right?
So I think that's one of it. The other thing I call bullshit on is some of the people who say, we saw somebody recently wrote a post that talked about how, I don't write anything with AI and about time, I'm so sick of it and everything like this. And it's like, it's almost fashionable to be publicly denying your AI use when you're really using it behind the scenes. Like there are people who are it's in vogue now to criticize all the AI stuff, and yet you're still flipping through and 90% of what you're stopping and watching is AI generated.
Hey, some farmers will always use a tractor. Right. like that's kind of like how I see it. Like people are always like, and I'm not opposed. Like I think you can use it any way you want, but I think that the reality is the genie's out of the bottle. You could stick to the old way, or you can hop on the rocket ship, because it's not like going from a tractor to a car anymore. It's a tractor to a spaceship, and that's the massive difference. So the people that want to ride the tractor, go for it. Like that's their choice. But I think that my efficiency, my ability to communicate, have all been greatly increased by, the last 2 to 3 years because of the tools that are coming out.
Yeah. So let me jump on that, because I would say the same thing. Like my ability to brainstorm, execute, I can do it in a fraction of the time. So it definitely can, for someone who commits to using it. I'm still surprised how many times I'm working with some of our business clients and I'm like, hey, so have you been experimenting with AI? And they barely have looked at it still at this point in the junk. And I'm like, man, you're going to find yourself feeling really behind the curve. Like it won't be very long. Like you're going to get left behind. Mm-hmm. But with our ability to do more, right? One, is speed always better? It's faster equal better. And two, will we just be expected to do more now because we can? So in other words, if AI is supposed to save us time, are we just going to fill our time with more because we can? And will the expectation just rise that in business, well, this person can save 10 hours a week, but now we're going to fill that up with even more expectation. And so there's speed and load here, I guess, is where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean, so on the load side, I'd like to use like software engineering as an example. So that's my background. Right. So my productivity in terms of software engineering has probably gone up 10x.
Yeah.
Okay. On a new project, starting something from scratch, it's probably even higher. It's probably 20x.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. So, what does that mean for software engineering? There's going to be a lot of job losses, right? That's obvious. But for the people left behind, the expectation is going to go up. Like, how can it not?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody is going to be expected to produce at least 10 times more.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think that's going to go away. If anything, as tools get better, the expectation, the workload is going to get higher and higher.
There used to be the concern about the gap between higher income kids and middle to lower income kids who couldn't afford computers. So you had the haves and the have-nots. And now, I mean, AI is widening that gap. Those who, from my perspective, those who have it and are leaning into it will be leading the curve. And there's going to be a lot of folks that feel left behind. Talk to me, Chris, about how you feel about, is faster always better?
That's if you ask me, yes. Because it's not faster, poor quality, right? Like, it's faster quality. Like, so, because for people our generation, and we're like, let's say 30 and above, maybe 30 and above, maybe 35, 40, it's like steroids, right? So it's not like we're completely being like, okay, right? No, we have expertise, we have knowledge, we have skills. And so it's just amplifying that. The younger generation, they're going to be in trouble because they don't have the expertise yet. They don't have the knowledge yet. So they can't tell good from bad. Right. So when I do something with AI, it's great because like either I do an excellent prompt, and then that prompt comes out, I get a decent output. And then I look at it and I'm like, okay, good, or needs improvement. And then I go back, reiterate. And sometimes that's just me actually doing like the last 10%, right? So it allows me to do things that I can get done, like for a blog, like it's just like a simple thing, like a blog post, right? Like me writing it myself would take sometimes an hour because like, okay, not that word, this word, that word, right? Yeah. And now, I can basically put in the concept, the thought, the idea that I want, maybe put some details about, an experience I've had or something, and it can create that. Now, other people would be like, the writers are going to be like, oh, that's horrible. But the reality is there's some people that are not very good at writing, and this frees them up completely. Right?
To express their thoughts.
Like, so there's always going to be, with any type of technology, there's going to be some really good things and there's going to be some really bad things.
Yeah.
And so we have, as a society, have to either adapt and mitigate those bad things as best we can. That's my biggest concern right now, is we're not really doing a lot of mitigation because the technology is speeding up. We're like the governance, policy, ethics is behind. Well, everyone else is like taking that rocket ship to Mars, and no one's saying, should we even go to Mars, right?
Right.
So,
and I think that's where I would, if I'm going to push back on is faster always better, it would be primarily around that, what you just said there. And that is, we're going to Mars, but nobody's asking the question, should we? And I think what happens with when you are going when we go at the speed we do with AI, it sometimes we're now doing things without first thinking about, do we need to do them or should we do them?
But that is so human.
Yeah, well, of course 100%. It is.
We did it with cars. We did it with nuclear energy. We did it with gasoline. We did it like, you name any technology, we've done it.
And we're going to talk about echo chambers and all of that, in a few minutes. But that is one of the challenges. But even with AI, we're seeing now some lawsuits that are happening right across because AI has steered people down into some very dark direction. And part of it is, again, because we are assuming that everyone has our ability to reason and go, that's not a good idea. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are, because the speed of it, they go down this, and there's no stop gaps for them to go, is this really a smart thing for me to be doing right now? And we don't have that. And I agree, that's human.
It's not a technology.
It's not a technology thing.
It's a human
technology
issue.
speeds up. There's not the ability to stop, think before you act.
Yeah, that's we'd have to change human nature.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
It's just happened before. I mean, the Industrial Revolution changed the way work was done back in its day, right?
Yeah.
The introduction of machines that were doing now what had to be done manually, and literally thousands of people went out of work and had to be retrained, and there was a lot of pushback then, and yet that was progress, and yet fast forward, and but then there was all the environmental downsides of that, right? So I think it's a dance, to your point, that mankind has been engaged in since the beginning. Anytime there's a significant advancement, is what do we do with it? But I think it's slowing down enough to consider what are the pitfalls, what are the things to be mindful for, how do we leverage, how do we increase the number of items in the asset category, asset column versus the liability column, I guess is the age-old challenge. Let me just throw this one out. So I fundamentally believe that for someone to increase in character, competence, capability, the struggle is necessary. Struggle is part of how we grow character, we grow competence, we grow capability. It's an important ingredient. Is AI removing or changing the nature of the struggle? And as such, is there a possibility of it making us soft over time?
I would say the short answer is yes. Like how can it not? Like we all need to struggle to some degree. So if you take the struggle away, then it's kind of a hollow victory, right? You're trying to do something big and you don't actually have to struggle to get there. It can be kind of a hollow victory. So I don't think we know yet what that's going to do to us, but I don't think it's going to be anything good. Like, how can it be?
Sorry, like I'm going to sound like a boomer here, because like every generation, this is once again, the discussion has, every generation thinks the other generation, the next generation had it easy and they're soft, right? It's going to be different. It's going to be different, and there's going to be different challenges that this generation or younger generation will have. And it could be anything from I have a 19-year-old at home that can't find a part-time job, right? So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there's going to be different struggles. I just don't see, I don't think the technology, you can argue, okay, well, the tractor to the car, right? Well, lazy people, they went from horses to tractors to so it's the same thing. I could be 100% wrong on this, but it's a technology, and humans will always seek, at least I hope so, that we always seek challenges. We create an AI system that can do a lot of things. We're going to find something else to break and mess up, right? Like, it's human nature to go climb Everest. That's what we do. We strive. And I think that is part of, I don't see that softening, but maybe I'm optimistic in that aspect.
I think the difference is the technology itself, right? So we look at when the microchip was invented, right? There was a famous newspaper article that came out one day, and it was just, the front page was completely blank. It was just a picture of a microchip, tiny microchip. Turn it over. It said, this is going to lay waste to jobs. Everybody is going to be out of work, right? Kind of like you're hearing now about AI. Yeah. But, there was a big difference with that technology, right? That technology created a huge bunch of new jobs, industries. I just don't see the same with AI. I see it kind of doing the opposite. I see it taking a lot of things away. Like that.
Well, and we talked about this before we went on the air. You were sharing about a poll that you did about, creating, basically cloning yourself, right? Creating so that if you passed away, your kids would be able to still talk to you and interact. And we all kind of went, do we like that? Do we not? And there's some some people love the idea. Some people, again, part of what I had said is you lose the ability to grieve at the same level. And that grieving is what makes you, that does build character, is learning how to process loss. And so the technology is in such a place that, what does it mean to be human? And we are not far off from AI girlfriends, and I mean, some would say we're already there.
Already there.
Well, we're there, but we're not there in the sense of where it's going.
Yeah, not Blade Runner level.
It's not Blade Runner level, but it looks like it's going there, right? I mean, we've got AI, we've got robots running in marathons now, and so that humanness of being able to forget about creating a clone of you that just they can go to, remember, Dad, when we went to Disney? we're probably not far off from, if there's not the checks and balances where you pass away, you literally can, the next day, there you are again.
Right.
And it's almost everything but your soul.
Yeah. Well, you ran an interesting poll on LinkedIn about creating an AI version of yourself. You didn't get
digital twin. Yeah.
Digital twin. Yeah. You didn't get a very warm reception for that at home, but about 50-50 of users on LinkedIn who responded, they were divided on the subject.
Yeah, it's a, I think it's one of those things, because there's a lot of ethical questions, as you mentioned, about, and whose choice is it, right? Like, so ultimately, I think it comes down to the person who, in theory, it sounds like a good idea, because, like, of course, a version of myself my kids can talk to, right? But do my kids even want that? I don't know. Right?
They don't talk to you now.
Now they could ignore AI version of you.
Exactly. That is so true.
Double the fun.
So, debunk the idea. Terrible idea. So it's so true, though. That is, ouch. I know.
I don't want to set myself up to be ignored twice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my name is cringe. So, anyways, but yeah, like, there's going to be so many ethical questions. Like, eventually, if it does go the route of AI replacing a lot of jobs, we have a social system that needs to be changed, right? Like, we have the social contract technically will be broken, right? And even Chat GPT or OpenAI, their focus, I've listened in on a couple of their meetings, is on the social contract. Like, they're talking about what society needs to do because they see this coming. And it's interesting because they're Americans and they're talking about welfare systems, they're talking about social systems, which is like, not really the strong point of U.S. of America, right? It's Canadians. Yes, we get it, and we're like, yeah, fine. But it's interesting to see from a very capitalistic society where they're actually starting talking about that stuff. So to that point, I say, like, the people that are right in it are talking about it. I'd say that should be of concern. It's either going to be a really great thing or a really bad thing, right?
And I think with the advent of any new technology or major innovation that is as widespread as something as AI. Some innovations only impact certain industries or certain sectors. This is kind of impacting this is not the norm. This is
life as we know it.
Right, is impacting life as we know it. So there's the general fear of anything new that most, you got your early adopters, you got your laggards, and you got early and late majority with any new innovation. Here, this is just so widespread. We did a very close look at how AI is impacting the coaching industry, which is what we're part of. And the coaches that basically do the how-to stuff are the ones that are most at risk, because AI can easily replace the how-to. I can actually get 10 ideas instead of just one from my coach about how to deal with this issue. So there are certain sectors of our industry that are very much at risk. And then we are at sort of the other end of the spectrum where we're less at risk because of the amount of leadership development work that we do, team dynamics work that we do, that at least not for the I say foreseeable future, it's going to take a while for AI to be in a place where they could even touch that stuff, right? Because it's one thing to get some ideas from ChatGPT or Claude about how to deal with this problem in my business or take advantage of this opportunity. It's another thing sitting eyeball to eyeball with a coach who's understanding the emotional, mental, and helps guide you through that stuff. But some sectors will be affected more, some less, but all are being influenced one way or another, right?
I think the value of a relationship, you have to figure out what is that, right? And I still think, humans, the value of the relationship is something that I think is going to increase. Like, even today, like, you can automate tons of your sales processes. You can, pretty much have most of your sales done by an agent or, some type of form. But every time I see business, and as I'm a business professor, business is relationships.
Yeah.
Like, like, even in any business I've ever, even my AI consulting business, it is a person to person business. Like, we shake hands, we agree, you do business with people that you like, that have the same values and that represent who you want to see or do business in the world with. I don't see that going away. Like, I could be 100% wrong. I have been many, many times, but I'd say that there's just something beautiful about being human. Why we're here. I love this. Like, we all enjoy being here talking about this right now. And this is just proof of that.
Yeah. One of the things about being human and being in relationship is relationships have the ability to push back, right? That in conversations, when we're having conversations around our business Rhapsody, we're able to challenge each other's ideas. We're in the flow of that. We talked about it a moment ago about the danger of AI becoming an echo chamber. And I'd love to hear, what are some of the things that you do? What kind of reality is that? And what do you do to safeguard from your AI, whatever model you're using, becoming just an echo chamber saying, yeah, that's a great idea, Julian. Hey, right. Yeah, Julian, you should jump up. You should fly off this building because you can do it, right? Like,
and here's 10 different ways.
10 different ways you can jump, right?
Yeah. Like, do you want me to write you a script for that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So what do you do there to make sure that we're not falling into the trap of echo chamber?
So, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing I have to do when I'm working with AI is when I set up a project, I have to be really clear on the instructions I'm giving it, right? And say, like, I need you to challenge me on these things. Don't assume anything. If you're going to tell me to, do something, give me reasons why. But really kind of, be kind of devil's advocate almost as well. The other critical thing as well, like I like to think of something before I ask the AI, or think of an approach, but then don't lead with that approach when you talk to the AI, right? Because oftentimes if you lead with something, it'll just kind of reinforce that, right? But you want it to actually look at everything and then give you kind of an unbiased, unfiltered view that is going to challenge you.
Right. Because I mean, more and more, I was surprised to hear that OpenAI's reported that more people are using it personally. Although the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I use it, like I said, I use it for personal coaching work, working through difficult issues. I also use it for health optimization, meal planning. It's actually so good for meal. And if you're on a meal macro thing, you can literally just every day say, "Here's my that," and
it's my Google search even.
Right? I don't even. I can't remember the last time I searched for something in Google. So I use it like that all the time. Set for travel planning, all this different things. But again, if to the casual user who hasn't learned how to use it effectively yet, I would say most of the search results or the answers you're going to get are harmless. They may not be highly effective, but it's sort of generalized information that you would get. But in some cases, it can set you up to only reinforce the very wrong thinking that got you there in your situation in the first place, right?
Yeah. So what I do is, like, within the personalization functionality of all these large language models, you give it, I tell it to be critical. I tell it, everything that I want it to not do and do. And I think that, in a sense, prevents to what Julian was talking about in terms of building that critique. Like, the thing is, and it's funny because, like, they're always like, well, what if it was over positive, right? Or if it hallucinates, right? Like, who else does that? Think about it. We do it. Humans. Like, hallucinations. Like, it's funny how everyone makes a big thing. Well, it hallucinates like 5% of the time now, or whatever, right? I hallucinate probably like 50% of the time. Yeah. Like, I say things that probably don't have any factual context, right? Yeah. So often when I actually go into my large language and personalize it, I actually will tell it to use verified good sources or well-known sources, provide a link, verify that link. Like, it's like you can build in verification into the system so that it helps in the critique part of it, right? It's always funny how we forget, like, it's artificial intelligence. So the artificial piece, we always seem to really kind of forget. We treat it like intelligent. And then we also think that it's different than us. Yeah. Right? It isn't really any different. Like, there's biases, and we have biases. We hallucinate, we make things up. Like, we are overly encouraging sometimes when we shouldn't be. Like, it's kind of a mirror if you think about it. It's an interesting mirror of ourselves.
Yeah, I think the challenge though is the average user. Again, I think
I'm not making my hallucinations available at mass scale.
Well, but also you're having a conversation with someone and they're throwing out something that seems bizarre. You just go, you're full of shit, or you're an idiot, or whatever the case is. I think the challenge here is that for the average person who doesn't have that in-depth understanding of how this works, they take it as authority. They take it as, in the same way people would, people don't realize when you do a Google search, right? We know this, that the first things that come up aren't necessarily the right things. It's whoever paid the most to get those. So we understand that the average person doesn't. And which is, and so I think that's the challenge here, is that people are using these tools without the reasoning to question or to push back and to do those kind of things.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think, speaking for myself, most of the people I'm surrounded by are in the top 1% of AI users.
Right.
And I forget that sometimes.
Yeah, same.
So I was talking to somebody the other day. He's like, ChatGPT, what's that? I'm like, okay, I need to show you. Right. Yeah. And I showed him, but right away he got it, but it's, I could see he started using it in a way that wasn't setting him up for success. So I said, look, I need to spend 10 minutes with you, just go through projects, how you can actually prompt it, use it properly.
And we see that, you mentioned a minute ago, but even how we talk with business leaders. I was talking to a leader the other day. Again, this is a person who leads an entire team, is a very smart individual. And he kind of sheepishly admitted, he goes, I don't know what ChatGPT is. Can you and I said, well, here, let me show you how this works where what we were doing right there and what this can get. He's like, oh, wow, I really need to maybe check that out. But he had never logged in, never used it, and didn't even understand, and was too embarrassed to ask because now it's more mainstream. And of course, that's what happens is our ignorance, we begin to push it down and hide it because we're afraid to admit that we don't know.
Well, speaking of leaders, because obviously you guys deal with leaders all the time in your AI businesses, you help implement things like AI and things like automation. We were talking about how a lot of folks think they need AI in their business, and often they're just lacking some basic automation to make their systems talk to each other and function more efficiently. But you're working with leaders, you're working with decision makers. Are we removing? Does AI present the possibility of removing some of the very experiences that develop people, right? Like I talked about the struggle earlier. And the other is, where should a leader really lean into AI, and where maybe do they want to hold back and not depend on it so much from your perspective?
Where they don't want to lean on it so much is definitely on the human side, right? If you're going to have a conversation with an employee, team member, you don't want to be maybe running that through AI beforehand, right? I actually talk from the heart, things like that. So the human aspect, I think that's kind of what make great leaders great, right?
Yeah.
So they're great at dealing with people. Communicating the vision, actually leading a team, right? AI is not going to take that over. It can help build the strategy, right? And it's great for that, but I don't think you want to substitute that on the
100%.
It's once again, it's a tool. So the leader ultimately, no matter, you're responsible for that use of that tool. So so if a leader decides to use the tool and then says, I'm going to follow the instructions of that, that's just like following an advisor's instruction, right? And if it's wrong, you are responsible for that decision. So in my mind, it might, and if it's, you could probably have a well-trained model that knows your data, provide you some more insights that allow you to make a better decision, because it's better decision making. Because the beauty of AI is that we can all read one book, right, and we can have a conversation, right? But AI has access to 1 million books and build the linkages. So if you can harness that within your company, and I always call it big brain is a large language model, then you need to build a small brain for your company. Build that small brain, you're going to make better decisions. So I think in that aspect, leaders should be leveraging AI to make better decision making, but they also have to realize that they need to understand that the decision they make is ultimately theirs and they have to own it.
Right.
And so you can't just be like, oh, it was the AI, right? That won't work, and it will never will, right? So what we're doing in organizations is that, teaching them AI literacy, making sure that they know the good usage versus poor usage, being able to recognize the differences between good output and poor output, all those things. But ultimately, the worker or the leader still is responsible.
Yeah.
Right? So
100%. So staying with leadership again, with everyone, I kind of opened with this question, but we've taken the conversation deeper now. Given that I'm going to say everyone, not everyone is using the tools, and of those that are using, you've got super users and you've got folks that are just playing with it. What I think, I think when we poll people, usually I use it to write my emails. Is kind of the most common sort of low level usage, which certainly that email is a time waster 90% of the time. So if you can speed that process up, it's probably not bad. But when you think of the leaders, the most effective leaders and that you admire, what do they do that AI couldn't replicate? What do they do? How do they show up in a way that AI just can't replace that?
I think trust.
Yeah, trust.
Charisma, trust. Like, I think there's something, like, if you had a robot that said, follow me to the void, right? Like, how many, we're all sitting here going, see you later.
Oh, I don't know. If it was a really cool looking robot, I'd geek out and go, where's the void? Okay, Jarvis. Okay, Jarvis.
But I think the leadership in respect, and people will value it, but that's based upon character, living your values. Like, those are the things that I think, and when I think about a good leader, those are the things that AI can't, that trust, it just won't do it. Like, it's a tool, right? Like, it's not like if you saw a shovel, you're not going to be like, I love this shovel, I'll die for you, shovel, right?
Right.
But we will do that for humans.
Right.
Right. That's the difference. There's a big difference. And I think it's worrisome if people don't see that difference.
Yeah.
That artificial piece, right? It's a tool. Like, at this point, at some point, if it ever becomes like the singularity and, general intelligence, then that's a whole different game.
Yeah. We're all the world will be over.
But we're not there yet. Or utopia. Who knows?
Yeah. Right.
Like, but if we're not there, so right now it's like a cup. It's a very useful tool.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you add to that?
I mean, I think leadership, it's that ability to get people to follow you, right? It's like communicate a vision and get people to move, get up and follow you.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And I think that's what makes a great leader, right? Because AI can't do that.
Yeah. There's a level of authentic, you use the word charisma. I'd say the word passion, energy, how a leader shows up that another leader could show up, say the same exact words that AI generated, but it wouldn't land the same.
I think there's a bunch of things with leadership, right? You can name those things, but there's some unknowns, right?
Yeah.
Some people, there's something about them, you just want to follow them,
right?
And if they said, hey, this is what we're doing, this is go time, you're like, okay, and I don't know, I don't even know how to articulate that, but I think we all know people like that.
Yeah.
And it's something that they have, it's a gift, it's natural. AI can't replace that.
Yeah, love that, gentlemen. This conversation, I think we could keep talking for a very long time but it's such an important topic about how to leverage AI both personally and professionally, and some pitfalls to avoid and some things to be mindful of. Last lightning round, advice for our listeners. We have a mixed audience of both business leaders and regular folks, and who are probably we probably have some power listeners listening, and we probably have a lot of the average users barely kick the can. What words of wisdom would you want to leave with them about next steps or something to be mindful of? Again, lightning round, so maybe keep your answer to about a minute each. What final words do you want to leave with our listeners today?
Well, I would be just embrace the tools, embrace it. Try all those tools. Right. Use it as much as you can. Realize that it's not, it's not some higher power. It is a tool. But get as much as you can out of it, business wise, professionally, and personally. And because it can help in so many areas of your life. Right. So just, don't be afraid to try things out, learn, build many different projects. I have projects I probably have like 30 different projects that I use on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
So I really lean into it and learn, because it's an incredible resource.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Great words of advice. What about you?
No, you basically took my answer. But do or do not. There's no try. I'm gonna throw in a Yoda quote.
Yeah, come on. That's always apropos.
I think education is a big piece of this. We fear what we don't know, and so that's why I think getting, like, to your point about learning, playing with it. Those are the things that I think I would highly recommend, because the cliche is like a business without AI versus a business with AI. You know which one's going to win. A marketing student with AI, a marketing student without AI. You know who's going to win that too, right? Yeah. I don't even have to explain it. You know. Yeah. So I think it's very important for people to be aware and kind of move along with the times.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. This was an amazing conversation, and I'm glad we were able to restrain ourselves from geeking out too much and stay on topics that are more relevant to the average person. And folks, thank you for tuning in again this week. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If it resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to help us get the word out about the podcast. And we do a special thanks to Rhapsody Strategies, who's the sponsor of this show. If you're a business leader looking to take your business to the next level, give us a call. We can help you do that. And until next time, get out there and live your best life.